Hey, everybody. If you want the full uncensored episode, be sure to click the link below to join the Fight Club on Patreon. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. And as soon as they dropped the puck, I stepped on his blade. And I stepped on his blade and broke his blade. Just snapped it, right? Well, I see him in New York when we're playing again. He said, Nux, I can't believe you did. Like, you scared the shit out of me. Oh, it was so funny.
He used to tell me the one when you spit the water on his shield.
Oh, yeah,
you were
yeah.
facing off together.
Yeah.
And he came out with a mouthful of water. And just before the puck shot, you spit his water all over his shield.
On his shield. Messing with him. I would have never hit him. I wouldn't even touch him. Just being Joe's brother. It was funny.
That'll be a suspension. That'll be a fine. Nyland going ballistic. He's a freaking madman.
I'm Chris Nyland, and this is the Raw Knuckles Podcast. Thanks for joining Tim and I. Say hi to Tim Stapleton.
Hi, Tim. How you doing?
Go, Joe, what's going on? Where are you at right now? It looks nice out there.
Cape Cod.
Oh,
Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Nux knows that area.
Yeah, I do. Listen, Cape Cod, Joe Mullen. It's a long way. Well, not a long way, but it's a long way from Hell's Kitchen. Let's put it that way. And
it is.
Hell's Kitchen. Growing up in New York, your story we played together, Team USA, played against each other all those years in the 80s. We played against each other in college. And I was always like, this kid can score goals right from the get-go. Like, you were a goal scorer everywhere you went. How does that happen? You're an undrafted NHL player. You were undrafted. How do you get? Well, let's start. How did you get into ice hockey first? You played roller hockey for years, and where does the ice hockey start?
The ice hockey started about the age of 10, and that happened because of Emil Francis, who also had a couple of kids that played hockey. Wanted to get his kids involved, and they were already involved. They were ice hockey players already, and they needed some teams to fill a whole schedule up, and they finally decided to see if these roller hockey kids could play ice hockey, and we tested it out and loved it, and we wound up all. Like me and my older brothers and Brian, my younger brother, all started playing ice hockey then. But if it wasn't for him, starting out, up leagues for us, we probably would have been playing roller hockey our whole lives.
Right?
Did the roller skating translate pretty good to the ice skating, or was it kind of difficult at first?
It was different. Because roller skating was more like running. It wasn't the roller blades. We were on the old roller skates, like you would see in a disco. But, it was a way to play hockey, and we had a great time with it. And we continued to play all through high school and everything, along with the ice hockey. And it just kept us playing and playing. I guess, all the practice that we were getting helped out.
So, Joe, your dad, Tom, he worked at Madison Square Garden. What did he do at Madison Square Garden when he worked there? Did he make the ice? Or?
Yeah, he was part of the ice crew, but he was part of the whole bull gang, that puts in all the shows, the wrestling, whatever's going on, basketball. They mop, they, put in the football, basketball floors and stuff like that. And I'll tell you, I got to work there one time when I was in college. He called me up. I was home. He said, "You want to work?" So I went into work with them. And, man, that's tough work. Those mops are heavy. They're heavy. Oh, and the basketball floors, I mean, it took like 8 or 10 of us to pick up one thing of basketball floor and move it to the.
Yeah, those big pieces you lay down. To put it together like a puzzle.
Yeah.
I know a lot of guys that work the one in Boston for sure. But, so your dad worked at Madison Square Garden and you guys used to get sticks. What I want to know now, Hell's Kitchen, when I think of Hell's Kitchen, other than the Mullens, I think of Jimmy the Gent Burke and Tony Featherstone. I think of the Wise Guys, right? I do. I think of the Wise Guys and what that was like growing up. And what really amazes me, and not just because you grew up in a tough neighborhood, but all the Mullen boys were successful. They stayed out of trouble. And that's a credit to your mom and dad, your parents. There's no question about it.
Oh, definitely.
And how difficult was that, though? The temptation. You're out with your friends hanging around. It's not like you run down the park. You run down the corner and hang around. You're with your friends. What was it like growing up there for you and your brothers? That temptation of, okay, let's go out with the boys and maybe we'll smoke some weed. Maybe we'll go out and drink. Maybe we'll get into drugs. How did you avoid all that, your family members?
Well, most of it was because we were lucky enough to have that schoolyard right across the street from where we lived. And we would be in there all day long. Mom could come to the window, watch us play, count heads and see who's missing. And if somebody's missing, the other ones had to go find them, So, and lucky enough that my 2 older brothers were, they were good role models for the rest of us. And, to have them there and they loved the sports and everything too. And they were all good players, and they kind of set the tone for Brian and myself for hockey, for sure.
When you were playing roller hockey, though, like to start skating at the age of 10, I mean, to play in the NHL, was that like a childhood dream, or is that what you were thinking at the age of 9?
I mean, you can dream it at any age.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think certainly it was a dream at that age, around 10, 9, 10, whatever, because we just loved to be on the skates and loved to play hockey, loved to watch it on TV. It was just one of those things where it was always in our heads, I guess. It was the one thing that was always constant in our heads, thinking maybe, someday we'd be good enough.
Yeah, and it's crazy. So that Metropolitan Junior Hockey Association, the one Emile the Cat Francis started, man, you ripped it up there. You played 4 seasons. 74-75, you score 110 goals. 52 more than the closest closest goal scorer after you, the second place guy. So how the hell do you get noticed by BC? All right, like I cannot. Like I could see it today, guys going down there and scouting players, different places. But back in that day, were there actually people watching that league from colleges? What happened there?
Well, I think so, because guys like Rob Riley and Mark Riley kind of played in the league for a little bit, and their dad was the coach of Army, and he had seen us play against them, and so he would tell BC or tell wherever their kids were going, about the Mullen kids and stuff like that. Kenny had a scholarship to Northeastern. He only lasted there for about a month and a half, though. Decided to come home. I think it was.
He just didn't. He didn't like.
Yeah, the schooling and I mean, he was smart. He was just he just didn't want to do it. School, and so he wound up coming home, playing another year of juniors, and then just packing it in, kind of. And
So
then
how's the
Tommy-
BC thing? How did the BC thing happen for you? Like, who comes to you? And apparently, the first year you had to pay $700. You didn't get a full scholarship. You had to pay $700 the first year, right?
Yeah, they didn't have. Yeah, that was just for books, though. You know, it was kind of that's what the books cost. So I actually.
What were you in
did
pre-med?
get-
I mean, those are some books.
What are books? What are books?
Jesus, books.
No, not pre-med, but you know, lunch maybe. But you know, it was it was okay. We got through that. You know, mom and dad found a way to come out with the 700, and I got my scholarships. And
So who came to see it? Did you have to go up there and meet with Lenny Zagorski, or did he come and see you?
He came to see us. You know what? He was scouting Paul Skidmore at the time, who was our goalie at BC.
Yeah.
And he was a Long Island kid, so he was in our league too. And Paul used to go up and do Lenny's camp all the time, every summer. And knew Lenny, you know, him and his dad knew Lenny very well. And his dad was very good to our organization because, you know, we didn't have a lot of money. He had, their organization had a guy that was very generous and gave us some free ice. We had to travel all the way out to Long Island. I mean, far. You know, it was probably a 2-hour ride. And we'd have to rent buses just to get there. So, you know.
Where all the rich kids live, right?
Yeah. But they were nice to us. They gave us some free ice to practice with, and you know, help us get our games going.
Are you ready to take your love for hockey to the next level? Join the Fight Club Raw Knuckles exclusive Patreon to unlock amazing perks like ad-free episodes, bonus interviews, and even a chance to win a game day experience with me in the Habs Cave. Don't miss out on this ultimate hockey experience.
And then you guys play. That's where you guys played against each other for the first time.
Yeah.
Me and Joe?
Yeah.
Oh, college.
Northeastern. Yeah, college. I was at Northeastern.
Yeah.
Joe was at BC. And we were low man on the totem pole when it came to getting players at Northeastern. That's how I ended up there, right?
Yeah.
I would have never been scouted by BC, BU, or Harvard for sure. Not scouted by Harvard. HAR with a V.
Did you get scouted by the Canadian teams?
No, what to play junior? No. I knew nothing about junior hockey back then, Joe. I didn't have a clue. I went to prep school at Northwood, and my coach, the Judge King, was good friends with Fernie Flamin at Northeastern, and the judge's brother was the governor of Massachusetts, Ed King. So he used to get Fernie Flamin's kids all summer jobs all the time when they were off of school. You know, they worked somewhere either at a swimming pool, a labor job, a good summer job where they get a paycheck and they go back to. Anyway, so the judge, who was always in my corner, asked Fernie to come see me. Came see me play when I was at Northwood. We were actually playing at BC. We played the JV team at BC that year. It was 74, 75. And Fernie came to see me, and after the game, he said, "Come and see me when you graduate Northwood, and we'll talk about you maybe coming to our school." And then when I came home, graduated, he offered me a full scholarship. So that was all the judge doing. That had nothing to do with like Fernie found me. He didn't find me. It was a favor to the judge.
Yeah,
but
wow, that's great.
You know,
good to know people.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Hello. And you know, those years, awesome. You know, we never won the Bean Pot. You won the Bean Pot, right? When you were there?
My first year. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the only time, but it was a thrill. I tell you, I couldn't get over how many people in the stands.
Crazy, right?
You know, oh yeah, I never seen anything like it. You know, we had 50 people in the stands. It was a lot. You know, before that, but yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah, the bean part was fun playing. So you go off to college for the first time. What was that transition like, coming out of Hell's Kitchen, leaving home the first time, basically? You're going to live on your own now. Do you live in the dorm, and then did you eventually get out of the dorms? What was that like? Were you at Mary Ann's every night?
Let's start with the first question.
Okay.
Yes, I did live in the dorms. And for about 3 years. So that fourth year, I was living with Paul Skidmore and his family.
Yeah.
But so, yeah. What was that last question you wanted to know?
Mary Ann's. Did you frequent? Now, Tim.
Well, what's Mary Ann's?
I would say
Mary Ann's.
Enough. I was there enough to satisfy me. You know.
Yeah, there was like all them colleges. They have a college bar, right? Like BU had the Dugout.
Yeah.
Northeastern had Punter's Pub.
Yeah.
And BC had Mary Ann's.
Yeah.
And then there was one place called the Ark. The Ark.
Yeah.
ARK.
Yeah.
We used to call, let's go have a bark at the Ark.
Yeah.
And the Ark is kind of where everybody could go. You couldn't go to them other college bars.
Yeah.
Right, Joe?
Yeah,
It's like you wouldn't go to the Dugout. You wouldn't go to Mary Ann's, although I went to Mary Ann's a few times. I got in a fight with Fred Smurlis there before I knew Fred Smurlis.
Oh, did you really? Yeah.
Yeah, at the door.
Picking on the little guys, huh?
Yeah. He'll tell you. He'll tell you. Crazy. But so yeah, all the college stuff. So you're at BC 4 years. I mean, you freaking ripped it up there. Like, you just ripped it up, scoring goals. And I just, it shocks me. Not shocks me, but I think a lot of people realize that here's a kid who played roller hockey. He started skating at 10. Where does he get this knack of scoring goals? How did you get so good at it, Joe? I know you practice a lot, but was it just natural for you?
My dad used to give us some good information, you know, because he played roller hockey and stuff. And he said, if you want to score goals, you got to go to the front of the net. And, you know, stuck in my head my whole career that, you know, something that simple or that little as it seemed back then was stuck in my head, and that it was very valuable information to me. And that's where I got most of my goals, right in front, you know, whether it be a tip or, you know, a shot or a rebound or whatever.
Picking up the garbage.
Nothing wrong with that.
Obviously not. Scoring over 500 goals, obviously not.
Yeah. Well, I was also learning, you know, watching my brothers play and seeing how they were doing it. And they had a lot of success in their juniors, and then Tommy had great success in his days in that AIC at college, and I learned a lot just from watching him and Kenny play, and then watching, you know, guys like Roger Bear and Vic Hatfield, Jean Rattel play for the Rangers. You know, you pick up some things, you know, just watching them and seeing how they do it.
When was your first Ranger game that you got to go to?
We didn't
As
go
a
to
kid.
we didn't go to a lot of games, only because that was working there, and for him to get us in, you know, he had to ask for.
You had to sneak in.
Yeah, I was sneak in, or you know, he would have to ask for favors. We never really snuck in because he was working there. We didn't want him to lose his job, and plus we were playing sports all the time. Whether it was hockey, basketball, you know, softball, whatever.
Out of your 500 plus goals, could you remember your first one well?
The first one was in against Minnesota in St. Louis. Jilly Malash was the goalie, and I went down. I picked up a puck just off the side of the net, behind the net, and I tried to center it, and it went off his pad, and then so
Garbage.
Goals, yeah.
Garbage.
I didn't say it was pretty,
Oh,
but I got the second one 8 seconds after it.
So Joe, you rip it up at BC. Just rip it up. You have a great college career. You're undrafted. Now, I remember back in 1979, 78, going to a regional tryout for the 1980 Olympic team. Okay? Up in
Correct.
Danvers, they had it. I think, were you there, Joe?
Yeah.
You went to that? Okay. I played with Bobby here on the same line with Bobo, and I forget who our other line mate was, but we ripped it up. We had a blast. Listen, I knew I was going to make the Olympic team, but all I wanted to do was get to Colorado. I'd never been out of the state, for Christ's sake. I'm there. Geez, I'd love to go to Colorado and go to that festival, right?
Yeah, that was.
I never got the invite. I was pissed off. My teammate Jimmy Walsh did at Northeastern, the defenseman. But what it seems like, in reading some stuff, that you you didn't really try out for that team, or did you?
Oh, I did. Yeah. I was to the first festival. I don't think I went to the second one because that one was in '79.
Yeah.
And
did they not invite you?
No. My dad got sick that summer, and he had a stroke. So
Yeah.
I decided that if my mom's gonna need some money or something,
Yeah.
and I had the opportunity, to sign,
Yeah.
I would, and I did.
Okay. So
and,
that's why you didn't go there. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So, which is honorable, obviously, and a good family that you came from, and thinking of taking care of your mom and trying to help out your dad. That's just awesome. I never knew that. But so you don't go there, and they win a gold medal, yada yada. Obviously they picked the right team, but that's a team. Do you think, because listen, there's politics involved too. Let's face it, USA Hockey, right? There's politics involved. Now, there's some guys that they say should have been there that weren't, blah, 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 but they picked the right team, I guess. But do you think you would have made that team if you went to the second festival?
Yeah. I had we went to the World Championships in '79.
Yeah.
And most of those guys were there,
Yeah,
and,
as a college player, and you ripped it up, didn't you?
7
World
goals,
Championship?
Yeah, we had a pretty good tournament there, I felt good about my game. Herbie called me in, he had a chat with me about it. He heard, things that maybe I wasn't going to come and stuff. So he pretty much offered me, a spot on the team.
Oh, okay.
Now, that sits as, you're there in Moscow and he's offering me a spot on the team,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't think that's fair,
Yeah,
or,
right.
But anyway, I just took it like that, and then I made my decision not to go, so I didn't have to worry about anything after that.
Now, why do you say that's not fair? Because that's the politics part of it? Like,
yeah, not fair to other guys that,
had to try out.
yeah, I was still going to tryouts and stuff,
Yeah.
So,
And that's the political part of it. And again, whatever, they picked obviously the right team, and they end up winning the gold medal. Did that bother you at all afterwards? Like when they won the gold medal, you're like, shit.
oh no, I was rooting for them. I
Of course you were, but in the back of your head.
Those games. No,
No, not at all.
I made the right decision for myself. And I had 2 great years in Salt Lake City, which got me to the NHL, and I just took it as, hey, I did it my way, and they did
You
it
sound
their
like
way.
fucking Frank Sinatra now. Come on, I know he's from Hoboken.
Yeah.
But come on. So you're not drafted. So does St. Louis see you playing at BC and they invite you to camp? What happened there? How's that happen?
Yeah. Well, they see me at camp and with the Olympics and everything, and actually I have one guy from the I think it was the Atlanta team come up to me and try to get me to sign a waiver for camp, and I'm like, well, what does this mean? He's like, what do you mean? I go, well, if I sign this, you got my rights, right? He goes, yeah. I said, no. I'm not
Which
signing
is good.
it. Yeah. So, he just tried to trick me into something. I didn't like it,
Yeah. So were there a couple teams interested, Joe? Or was St. Louis?
No, well, the Rangers kind of got interested after I think they heard St. Louis was interested.
And was Emil there then? The cat? Was he there?
Emil was in St. Louis.
Oh, okay. That's right. He went to St. Louis from New York. All right.
And he had seen me play, in juniors and college, because I was playing against his son Bobby in both, So, he kind of followed us. He knew my dad down the garden and stuff. So, he just took an interest in me.
Now, I remember, my first year in Halifax. So you're playing out west. You're playing the Central Hockey League. I'm playing the American Hockey League. St. Louis's farm team is out there. Salt Lake Golden Eagles.
Yeah.
Now, I remember looking at the stats all the time, and you're fucking ripping it up. Now, my first year, what's wrong with this pitcher? Tell me. I played 49 games in Halifax my first year. I had 15 goals, and I had 10 assists, 25 points. I get called up to the Montreal Canadiens, who just won 4 Stanley Cups in a row. You play for Salt Lake, St. Louis's farm team. You play 75 games. You have 40 goals and 32 assists, almost a point a game, just under a point a game. Why the fuck do you spend 3 years in Salt Lake? I couldn't believe it. I would always look and follow it. I'd say, fucking Joe Mullen's ripping it up out in Salt Lake. What's going on? Why did it take... The next year you had fucking 59 goals. And then you go back again. Like, hello?
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Unfortunately, that first year, my first year, St. Louis Blues were like second overall in the NHL.
Yeah.
They were right behind the Islanders, I believe.
Yeah.
And, they weren't going to make changes when they're having success like that, So I kind of understood that one. Actually, that my first year, they sat me out for a couple of weeks. For a couple of weeks, they said that they didn't think I was playing well enough or something. So I sat out.
That's crazy.
And this centerman that I was playing with got hurt, and they put Rick Bowness in his spot, and they put me with Rick Bowness and Floyd Thompson, 2 veteran guys.
Fucking Rick Bowness was a defenseman.
No. Forward.
Really?
Yeah.
I played against him in Winnipeg. He was a defenseman.
Oh, really?
So you were playing with fucking Rick Bonus, a defenseman?
The forward.
Yeah.
Rick
Holy
Bonus.
fuck.
Yeah. He was my centerman. Yeah.
Oh, my God. That explains it.
Yeah.
You were getting a lot of good passes.
I did.
Get into the action with Fight Club, Raw Knuckles' new exclusive Patreon. From ad-free episodes to uncensored content and discounts on merch. There's something for every hockey fan. Join the Fight Club today. So you finally get the call up. Well, you came up that year in the playoffs, play one game, no points. Oh my God, what's going on? So they send you back.
I got one shift.
Yeah.
One shift.
So I got a game in.
You go back 80-81, and I'm in Montreal, and I'm saying, fucking Joe Mullen's still in the minors. What the fuck is going on? 59 goals, 58 assists. Believe me, I followed it. And I couldn't believe it. Then you finally, 81-82, you played 27 games on there. You come up to the Blues. And right off the hop, you get going. And up 59 points in 45 games. Now, what was your contract like? Your first contract, did you sign for 3 years? Or
3
did
years.
you signed 3 years?
Yeah.
So those first 3 years, you're basically down in the minors.
Yeah.
You come up, now you have to renegotiate. You're a point-a-game guy.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Well, they still had you.
Right.
I mean, the rules that were always in their favor back then. So, pretty much took what they were, offering.
Yeah, it's like it was really hard. That's what I did too. It's like they offer you a contract. Here you go, take it or leave it. Back in the day, right?
Yeah.
I remember
especially when you finally get there, right? You want to stay.
Yeah, and did you have a one-way contract the first time or two?
Two-way.
Yeah, me too. And then that next contract, was it a one-way?
It was, I believe.
Yeah. So it wasn't mine when I ended up signing that second contract. But so St. Louis years, you're there 5 years, you rip it up, 40 goals twice. It's just really putting the numbers up. And then it comes to 85, 86. And time to, I guess, renegotiate or negotiate your contract. And now you've shown you can do it. You've put the numbers up. Now it's time to renegotiate that deal. What happens there? Because did you do the deal and then they trade you?
Yeah. You know what? I sat out training camp that
right?
Year. Yeah. And then
so they didn't like that. That's a no.
Yeah. So it was over $50,000,
Crazy.
And, and so I was sitting out, and then they called me up, said, we'll do the deal. And so then I'm going, Ron Caron was our GM.
Prop. That's it, Joey Mullen. That's correct, Joey. Yeah.
So I said, hey, I'll sign the contract if you promise not to trade me. Oh, I can't do that. I said, well, you give me your word you won't do it. Yeah, I know you can't give the owner. Oh, yeah, I'll give you my word, but he went and did it anyway.
So you signed the deal.
Yeah, how soon
they
after?
said they won't trade. What happened?
I played up until February something, I think it was, when I got traded. Early February, I think I got traded that year. And
did you feel like things changed with the organization after you stood up to them?
After I left?
No, after you stood up to them in the contract. You didn't show up to camp, then you signed.
Yeah.
Did you kind of feel weird around the...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And all that time I was around them anyway. Till I left. But, it was uncomfortable. You always heard, oh, yeah, we're going to make trades. So sooner or later, actually, I knew it come December that they were trying to trade me. And they kept saying they wanted to get bigger and stronger and stuff. So,
and they did one of the worst trades ever, right? I mean, not a great deal. The prof made a not a great deal. The prof, right? Who was in there? Charlie Bourgeois,
Eddie Beers.
Eddie Beers, Charlie,
and Gino
Rick
Cavallini.
Wilson. And Cavallini, hello.
Yeah, and we Terry Johnson, myself, and Rick Wilson went to Calgary.
Went the other way. Yeah, lopsided deal. I mean, Gino turned out to be good for the Blues, and Bourgeois played a bit. But you go to Calgary, and you end up in the Stanley Cup Finals your first year.
Yeah, who'd you play?
I knew that had to come out sooner or later. But we got him back in '89.
Well, Knuckles wasn't there.
You were already in New York?
Yeah, I was in New York. And so you might only have 2 cups now if I was still there instead of 3. So, and honestly, I look at that. I always say it. I was a missing link that year because they didn't have anybody to do what I was doing.
Yeah,
right. I'm not saying we would have won, but I think things would have been a little bit different than they were if I was there. And I like to think so, but so getting to the Stanley Cup final and losing like that, I've never been. I've been to the finals once, boom. But losing, how gut-wrenching was that? We saw it last year with Edmonton, right?
Yeah.
They battled back.
Awesome.
They battled back, tie the series, go to Game 7, and it's almost like they'd have been better off losing in 4. Because, man, they were devastated. What was it like for you that first year you did, and you had a great playoff, and then you guys lose that Stanley Cup that year?
Yeah, we lost it pretty quick though. We won the first game, and then you guys won the next 4. Yeah, and it hurt. It hurt, but you know what? It was a learning experience too. We learned from what you guys did and how you guys played and stuff, and it was a learning experience, and I think we brought that into the second try. When we won the cup.
Yeah, no question. You made the adjustments and beat them, but Christ, 47 goals, 40 goals, 51 goals in Calgary. You must have loved playing for Badger Bob.
Oh, always.
Right?
Always, yeah.
Right?
Yep. He was a good man, and a really good coach, I thought. He had different ways about him, but and sometimes awkward ways, but he always got his points across, and he was always so positive, from the start to finish, no matter what happened.
Well, it's funny. I talked to Tim about this, but we've all played Team USA, right? Tim has played. We had Mike Eruzione on, was awesome. Mike, come on with us. Joey, we played together in '87 there, and God, we had fun. But Rod Langway being the event coordinator.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was, and a good one at that. But I'll never forget the day. Now, I'm at training camp. We're out in Minnesota, right? And then we were in Colorado Springs. Was it Colorado Springs that year? And we went whitewater rafting and all that stuff together as a group. And I remember...
Oh, yeah.
I remember?
About that.
Right? And we are on the ice, and it's coming the time to cut guys, the final cuts. And Badger Bob, we're all stretching before the practice starts. No, it was at the end of practice. We get down, and Badger Bob's going, great day for hockey, right? And I wasn't sure where I stood, I'm there. I got a shot here. And I remember at the end of practice, he said, we're looking good. We're getting ready, and we're going to be playing Canada 5 times pre-tournament games, right? Remember we went around and played all them games?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he said, we're going to need guys like Joel Otto, Big Joel, and Knuckles. And I'm like, shit, do I have a chance to make this team? Really? When I made that team, when I found out, I honestly, and I've said this to Tim, and he's heard it, but Brett Hull, I remember Brett Hull fucking got interviewed because he got cut, right? He was fucking fat and overweight. And Badger had told him in Calgary, apparently, get in shape, blah, blah, blah. And he didn't. He was fat and overweight. And then he kind of badmouthed. Can you imagine? They keep Nyland over me. But but fuck you, you fat fuck. You know, like, hello, that's the reason. You know, if he was in shape, maybe I would have got cut. So thanks for being a fat fuck. but, you know, and that was the year I smacked Rick Vive in the street. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember I gave him a dope slap?
We were having breakfast that morning, and you said to me, just keep going.
Yeah.
I'm like, keep going. Don't worry about it. Just keep going. So he sends me into the...
Neil was there too. Neil Broughton was with you.
Yeah. He sends us into the arena, and he goes outside, and he does his thing. And then he comes in and tells us all, and we're like...
What happened? What happened? I mean, here's what happened. But that was funny. So the Flames, you finally, after losing that cup, rip it up there. Then you get back at the Habs in 88, 89, and you win that Stanley Cup, that first one. What a playoff. 16 goals, 8 assists, 24 points, 21 games. Like, hello. Joe, you just show up and you keep getting it done. Now, you get one more year in Calgary. Like, what's that about? Why do you end up in Pittsburgh? Badger Bob? Was he there yet? When did he leave Calgary?
Badger was there. Yeah, Badger was there.
So
he left a couple of years after.
Before.
I think the year after the first one.
Okay, the first loss,
won.
he left.
Yeah. And then he did a couple of years as the president of the USA Hockey, was it?
Mm-hmm. And then he came back out and took the Penguins job. Why do you leave Calgary? Why do you leave Calgary, Joe?
They just said to me that they didn't want me to leave and get nothing for me. So,
okay.
You know, because, Lanny kind of played out his career right before that. And that's what they were kind of saying to me. You know, we want to get something for you in exchange.
So your contract was up.
Yeah.
So you re-signed, and you could have walked at that time, no?
Walked freely.
Like what happened? What happened? At the end of the year.
I think I was still under contract because.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you get traded? Did you get traded to Pittsburgh?
Traded, yeah. I got traded for
a bucket of pucks.
I think it was a second round pick or a fifth round pick.
Yeah.
And it was a defenseman from Western Michigan, I believe, Nicholas Perot.
Yeah.
And Nick tore up his knee, I think, that final year as a senior, and never played hockey after that. He actually became one of the guys for Bauer hockey sticks, So,
okay. Yeah. The sales rep.
Yeah, so the first time I walked into Montreal after that, he's there, and he's got his sticks and everything, and he walked over to me, he goes, "Hey, Joe," he goes, "me and you got something in common." I said, "Yeah, what's that?" He goes, "We were traded for each other." I said, "Oh, Nicholas, how you doing?" He goes, "How'd you know my name?" I said, "Well, I read the paper when I got traded."
That's funny.
Yeah.
So you were involved in two real bad trades.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah. It was got worse. The trade got worse. Right. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they paid off for me.
Yeah, they did.
Go win a cup the next year, right?
Dude. Yeah.
So you go to Pitt.
Next two. Yeah.
Next
two. You have to be like died and gone to heaven because, come on, the players they had there, they're just incredible, right?
Yeah.
Brian Trotier's there. We played with Brian Canada Cup.
Brian
Big Kevin Stevens,
Lemieux,
Mario.
Yeah.
Did
we drafted Yager that year first?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Badger was there. Craig Patrick was there.
Who were your line mates when you were there? Who'd you play with?
When I first got there, I was with Johnny Cullen and Kevin Stevens for a while. That's who Bob Johnson I put me with, you know. And we played.
And he could pass the puck, right? Johnny Cullen was a great playmaker. Yeah. And you had Kevin, running people over, Big Kevy. So wow. So you go to the Pens, you win 2 more cups, just incredible career. And how fun was that playing with Mario? Like,
great. I mean, just to watch him on the ice every day. Right. When he first gets on the ice, he's just like gliding across the ice. And you're like, how's this big guy just gliding like that,
It's crazy.
What was it like to play for Scotty Bowman? You played for him then, right?
Yeah, Scotty was good. Scotty was really good behind the bench, I thought. I think Scotty had a good mind for who he wanted out there against whatever team that they had and what line he wanted to match up. And he was good, really good like that. And, wanted to make sure his defensive players were out there and, for killing penalties.
How was he as a communicator?
Different.
Right?
Yeah. But, everybody has their faults.
Yeah. It's funny. Well, that old school, right?
It was old school, yeah.
We had, Serge Savard just had his tournament here, and they had, I don't know, there's probably about 14 players here that played on that 4 cups in a row team.
Yeah.
And Scotty was here too. He's like 90-something, right? And he's bouncing around. And that was the thing. I remember when I came in, I had met Scotty. I got drafted, and I came up to a playoff game, 78-79, when they were going for the 4th. They were playing the Bruins. And afterwards, Ron Caron came and got me and took me in the locker room. And I'm like, he says, Scotty, come here, Scotty. And Scotty comes over. He says, I want to introduce you to one of our draft pick, Chris Nyland from Boston. He's from Boston, eh? And Scotty said, hey, coach. He goes, he said, what position you play? And I said, I'm a right wing. He said, well, can you play defense? I said, I'll play any way you want me to. And that's all I said. And he walked away. I'm like, that went well, But the prof, I remember freaking introduced me to Scotty. And he was gone the next year. He wasn't at training camp when I come in. But those guys from that team, I mean, they certainly look at it a little different now. I think Ken Dryden wrote a book about Scotty. That come out recently, and that team that won 4 in a row, and it was an incredible book explaining Scotty and how he was. But man, he didn't say fuck all to guys. He just boom, do your job, but that's it. You're going to minors, and that's how it was back then, right? If a coach said fucking jump, you're how high? None of this. Hey, coach, what do I do here? If you didn't know what to fucking do, see you later. It was like, you better know you're here. And that's all changed, But so you had Scotty there, you win those cups, and then you go off, and your wife Linda from Boston, obviously, living down Cape Cod now, but you come home to play for the Bees. And it's near the end, obviously, but how was that? Because I know, listen, my father, I wanted to play for the Bruins. I always did when I was a kid. Yeah. But my father was saying, don't come back here. I don't want you back. Fuck them. Blah, blah, all the shit we put up with for years up in Montreal. Don't come back here. I went against my father's wishes. Now, there were some good things that happened there in my couple years, but it didn't go well. But I was near the end. How was it for you when you were there? Who was coaching, by the way? Not yet. Was it Casper?
Stevie Casper.
That explains
it. So when I decided to go there, I was pretty excited about it. Playing for original 6 team and everything, and going back to Boston, and but I was leaving Linda and the kids still in Pittsburgh, so the kids could finish high school and stuff. And I was staying with my mother-in-law in Brookline, and that was great. I liked being there and everything. The team, I thought we had a better team than we showed, and we made it to the playoffs that year. But I was injured a lot. I had to get another neck operation, and I missed a lot of time that way. So, and then I hurt my knee towards the end. So
they don't re-sign you, right?
Yeah.
And what? How do you get back to Pittsburgh? Is that kind of like that in the green?
I was kind of like a free agent.
Yeah.
So it was like, I just went back. I called Craig up, and I think he called me, and he says, "Why come back for one more year?" And
that was nice, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Come back and do the curtain call, right? Like, and honestly, Serge did that for me. He traded me. Yeah. Actually, in his book, he said it's the worst trade he ever made, which was nice, the prick. But he did bring me back, right? He brought me back, which was awesome. And another thing Serge did was when we won the Cup in '86, I gave my ring to my dad.
Right.
Serge traded me. Yeah. And that summer, I came back to do my golf tournament I did for the hospital here, Children's Hospital. Serge called me, said, "Hey, come and see me." I'm like, "Fuck you, come and see me. I want to talk with you." So I came, and he said, "I know you give your ring to your father. I appreciate everything you did here." And he gave me another ring.
Wow. Really? That's
fucking
awesome.
So cool.
Yeah.
Like, it was so cool. And we're still friends today.
Do that.
No.
That's awesome.
And then he brought me back. He knew.
First time I ever heard that.
Yeah, I think me too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think that's a great story.
Yeah, he gave me another ring, and it was incredible that he did that. I thought it was so cool, and he, like Craig with you, Serge brought me back. He got me out of Boston. Things weren't going good. How was it for you? Listen, you can say you're ready for retirement, but you're not. But you had some injuries. My body was beat up at the time. But, you always think I could play maybe one more. And, boy, it's just, how was that battle with you going on in your head?
Well, I was so close to 40, too. I was always thinking it'd be nice to play. But, I had 40, and then, I think I'd be finished anyway,
Yeah.
And that's the way it kind of turned out. Maybe I was a little bit more finished before, but
you stuck it out a couple years.
Yeah.
Calling all hockey lovers. Upgrade your podcast experience by becoming an enforcer. Gain access to the greatest hockey doc ever, The Last Gladiators. And don't settle for ordinary. Join the Fight Club over on Patreon today.
Nux, you were going to tell him the story about playing against his brother the first time.
Jeez, thank you, Tim. See, that would have fucking... Thank you, Tim. So I played with Joe, but I also played with Brian, Joe's younger brother. And I'll never forget, and I'm sure he told you the story, but he gets called up. He gets called up to Winnipeg. He's in Winnipeg, whatever. And we're in town, and I'm starting the game, and they put him out there on my opposite wing. And I know it's Joe's brother, and I'm gonna play cold turkey. Yeah. I'm not gonna talk to him. I ain't saying nothing. He goes, hey, Nux, my brother Joe says hi. I don't say a fucking word, right? And they dropped the puck, and as soon as they dropped the puck, I stepped on his blade. And I stepped on his blade and broke his blade. Just snapped it, right? Well, I see him in New York when we're playing again. He said, Nux, I can't believe you did. Like, you scared the shit out of me. Oh, it was so funny.
He used to tell me the one when you spit the water on his shield.
Oh, yeah,
we were
yeah,
facing
yeah.
off together.
Yeah.
And he came out with a mouthful of water. And
Water.
just before the puck shot, you spit his water all over his shield.
On his shield. Messing with him. I would have never hit him. I wouldn't even touch him. Just being Joe's brother. It was funny. And we end up playing together.
My first game against Ducks, I get out, and he's on the right side, and I go to the left side off a face-off in their zone. And he starts talking to me, and Brian Sutter's my left winger, and he's like on the other side of the circle, just staring at nuts. And all of a sudden, he skates over, and he goes, "You got to go through me if you want a piece of him." And Nuck says, "Chillax, man." He goes, he's my friend. We're just talking. And Brian just went over to the other side, and me and him were laughing.
Fuck. It's like, it's funny. I just had a guy on, Craig Cox, played in St. Louis. You didn't play with him, right?
I did, yeah.
You played with Coxie.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because we're talking about coaches telling you to fight and this and that, and he talked about Sutter. He said, "I didn't really like Sutter." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, it's funny, you're involved in this story," he told me. He said, "You're in with the Rangers and you're starting the game." And I had just got to St. Louis, and he comes up to me and he goes, "Listen," he said, "Nyland's starting the game. I expect you to go after him." And he said, he told me, this is what he told me. He said, one, I would never listen to a coach when he told me that. I didn't respect the coach who told me that. I didn't like him for it. And he said, I got out on the ice and I didn't go near you. One, he said, I respected you as a player and what you did, the job you did. And when he told me to go fight you, there's just no way I was going to do it. And I said, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for not coming after me and rearranging my face.
You went, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Is right.
He's a pretty big guy, right?
Oh, yeah, he's huge. He's huge, but really good guy. He was fun. I had him on last week. But what a character. Good stuff. So you're living in Cape Cod, all good, huh? Golf down there at all, Joe? Cranberry Valley?
Haven't been there lately, but I'm
Mayflower
right up the street
Beach?
from Dennis Pines and Dennis. Mayflower. Well, I go to cold storage when I go.
Yeah, right up. Yeah.
Not often.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got Dennis Pines, Dennis Highlands right up the street, so play there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, Bayberry's right, about 10 minutes away. So, yeah, there's so many. Yeah. I remember. Yeah, go ahead. I just got to play Cape Cod National the other day. That was good.
Nice. Yeah,
really
right?
nice. Really nice. Yeah.
It's funny. I remember you bought the place down there in the 80s when you were playing, right? And now
82.
you live. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Because I lived on the opposite side, same exit as you, but I lived over in Howish. I rented every summer.
Right.
Down there. What a great area.
You had your boy Peter Simona here that one time, remember?
Yeah, Peckerhead came down.
Two Peckerheads in town.
Two Peckerheads. That's right. So, Joe, just awesome, to taking the time. I really appreciate it. You certainly had an awesome career. At a time, you were the first to score 500 goals as an American player, 1,000 points. A couple guys have gone by you in that, but no big deal. The numbers you put up, it's incredible. And I think the crazy legs, when we talk about crazy legs in skating, like start on roller hockey and then you go off and not drafted, have a career like that. I think the only mark on your career really is you won the Lady Byng twice. I mean, what the hell? You are a gentleman, and you were a gentlemanly player.
Stan Mikita won it twice, too,
Yeah, but we're not talking to Stan. We're talking to you. But that's awesome. U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. You're in the Hockey Hall of Fame. You deserve it. Awesome guy. Couldn't have happened to a better guy, honestly, really. And you deserved it. It's not nothing was given. You earned your way, and I just what an awesome story.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And I mean it. I've been a good guy, and still are, and awesome stuff.
Still can't play very good golf though.
Yeah,
no, neither. I can't either. None of us can.
Yeah.
Come on, you grew up in the schoolyard like me, right? The schoolyard. Nothing like the schoolyard.
That's awesome.